Today we're going to be working on the underground movie theater and we are going to be harvesting corn. And big thank you to Simply Safe for sponsoring this video. There's no safe like Simply Safe. Hey everybody, you're watching Cole the Corn Star and welcome to the 100% restoration and remodel of my great-great-grandfather's $7,000 mansion, and welcome to Corn Star Farms. So before we get started working in the underground movie theater and hopping out into the cornfields, I need to backtrack just a little bit. I got a stomach flu the other day, and so I was sick for the last day of soybean harvest. So here is my brother finishing up soybeans.
All right, another day in the saddle here. This is the last day of bean harvest. Me and Zach got 82 acres out. Dad's trucking. I'm combine. Zach's in the cart. Going east-west today, and so's the wind. How ideal. I'm tired of this. It sucks. I'm ready for corn, so I don't have to look at this. But we're on Evis right now. This is a champion number. It's a 324E. This is a 3.2. It's averaging 77.9. This is awesome. This farm is doing fantastic. This will be our best yielding farm. I don't know why this farm's doing so great, because usually this farm is not that great of a farm. But we did a lot of improvements this year. A lot of lime, a lot of fertilizer, did ripping, ripped everything. So I'm not sure what did it, but it helped it significantly. All right, we are rolling up on the last 50 feet here. We had 100 feet left and we plugged the head. A rock got stuck under one of the slides, bent between the belts, plugged the head. Got a piece of metal stuck in the end there. This is it. Done. Woohoo!
So with that being said, soybean harvest turned out phenomenal. Take a look at this. When I get the lid open, this bin is full right up to the top. That bin is full, and then we have two more grain bins just like that, a mile and a half down the road, and those are also full. We actually had to take 5 semi-loads to the co-op and sell it because we could not store everything. So we had a phenomenal soybean harvest. We came in just under 69 bushels per acre, which our 10-year average is 56. To help make things not quite so confusing, we measure our crop coming out of the field in bushels, but we don't get paid in bushels, we get paid in dollars. So 1 bushel of soybeans is worth about $11. So since we produced 14 more bushels than we normally produce, 14 times 11 is 154. So we made $154 per acre more in revenue off of our soybeans than we normally do. Multiply that by our 1,000 acres, that is $154,000 more in revenue, which is absolutely phenomenal. And on a year like this, where we have low prices and really high input costs, we are going to need every dollar of that $154,000 in extra revenue to help keep the farm afloat. Alrighty, I am on semi-duty today, so we are headed to our first cornfield, which is tabletop.
What a beautiful morning. Beautiful morning to do some footer forming, right? No, not the case, unfortunately. This morning started from Cole realizing that there is another wall that we need to build, and frankly our very end footer is not our very end footer, so we need to move it, move a bunch of dirt, dig more, and we're a little bit more behind now. So when we started digging these footers, both of us thought it's gonna be, I don't know, maybe 5 hours of digging with excavator. So we didn't really service it, didn't grease it. So now, after probably 15 or more hours of running it, it needs to be greased. So I'm on the search of grease gun on the Cole's farm, and we're gonna find out if we can find a grease gun. Here's a grease gun. Let's see. We have batteries, so it doesn't matter if it's charged. Okay, we're back to the farm and let's go get the excavator.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Tabletop. We have about 90 acres right here. This is a square farm, so we have half-mile long rows. We can cruise along about 5 miles an hour. So we're running 2 grain carts today. We got my father-in-law, Ricardo, coming up in the John Deere tractor right now. He is full. And then Zach is running the other grain cart, and Cooper is in the combine. And just like that, we got the first half of this semi full. This smaller grain cart will hold 0.6 semis worth, and the big grain cart that Zach is coming across the field with that is now full, that will hold 1.3. And we may notice that the tractor pulling this massive Brent V1300 is not ours, and that is because ours is still getting the engine fixed in it from this spring, and it's not done yet. So we are renting one from a neighbor. And look at this grain cart. Oh my goodness, this thing is huge. Look at it compared to the semi. This thing can hold 300 more bushels than what the semi can hold. So it is gargantuan. Then we got the big old fat tires on it. So that way we have low ground compaction. That is an absolute unit. I believe this grain cart can unload itself in about 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes. So that thing can move some grain very quickly. Corn is a violent process. You do not sit for very long. You basically pull in with the semi, someone's coming up to you. Why is this semi not starting? But then as soon as they pull up to you with the little grain cart, by the time Ricardo's done unloading with that, the next one is right there. You're filling up, you're leaving. By the time you get done dumping at the pit, then Dad is pulling in right behind you and he's full as well. So you do not sit very much. It's exciting, there's a lot going on, but sometimes it can be it can make you a little on edge, especially if people are a little grumpy and things aren't going their way, which today everything is going very well, so everyone's in good mood. So it's just, sometimes you have to be ready for it. When it comes to the way we have our bed layouts, all these smaller ones that are sitting by themselves, those have soybeans in them. But everything that is over here on the big bin side that is all tied together, this is all corn. We are currently putting corn in this closest bin right now, and our unloading is a little bit slow. So the bin side does not work how it is supposed to. This is all part of the lawsuit, but one of the things that is giving us fits is this pit. This pit is supposed to be big enough where it'll hold 90% of a semi. So if you fire everything up, turn it all on, and then open the semi, you should basically be able to empty out in like 60 seconds, 90 seconds, be able to close everything, leave, and then sensors will automatically shut down once it's empty. So that way you can just stay on the road, and then that basically eliminates the need for us to need to be running an extra semi. But with the way it is right now, it's only running like 25% the capacity that it's supposed to, and there is an auger that runs along the bottom, and the motor for it is right underneath this metal cover right here. And when you run that, it has the tendency of burning the belts off all the time. I think we went through like 5 sets last year, and you never know when it's going to do it. So we just have not been running that bottom because we don't feel like messing with it, and so we have to do it the slow way right now. So we are unloading one hopper at a time, so I'm just pulled right into the middle of the pit, and I can only crack myself open about that far. So it takes about 10 minutes to unload us right now, which is, it's not the end of the world, but when you purchase the pit to be able to basically unload in 60 seconds, 90 seconds to be able to leave, and you paid a lot of extra money to be able to do that, and it doesn't work, it's a little frustrating. But hey, we're alive, we're dumping corn right now, we'll eventually get this taken care of. It's just wrapped up in litigation stuff right now. Looks like our back hopper here is just starting to run empty. We'll open it up all the way, get her nice and empty. Then I need to put air back into my airbags. Shut this. Okie dokie. Now I'm gonna back up, and then we get to our front hopper. Oh yes, and we do not want to forget to close our back hopper, because when you leave a hopper open and then you get out to the field and then the grain cart comes and dumps on it, then you have a really big mess on the ground. While I was was under the weather. Dad, Cooper, and Zach got everything all serviced over here on the Ben site, so they got everything greased. And the big thing that they had to do was there was a little bit of sludgy water down in the bottom of the pit, so they got that all cleaned out. But there was a couple gallons in the bottom where they couldn't quite get fully clean, so we had to run a little bit of corn in there and then let the corn absorb the water. Now that corn is wet. We don't just want to put that wet corn right into the bin all in one nice little sludge, so we ended up running it into the overhead bin here. And so we're just going to run about a 5-gallon bucket full at a time out. That maybe a little bit more right there, but that way we can kind of blend it off and then we don't have to worry about getting a wet spot in the middle of the bin, but then we can also get it out of there and then we don't have wasted corn. See what I mean? That things are fast and furious. Dad is pulling in behind me and I am not empty yet. So this is one of the frustrations of the pit right now, because we should have been gone about 8 minutes ago and then Dad could just pulled on and then he honestly would have almost been empty by now. I got just a little bit left in me here.
Got the back empty already?
Yep, back's empty. I've been doing the backs first. While we wait for that front hopper to finish doing its thing and loading, it sounds like the grocery store has a special of barbecue sandwiches today and sloppy joes. So I'm gonna get an order put together for everybody so we can get it ordered. Then we can just bring everything out into the field and we can just keep moving. That is the name of the game while combining. Just keep the combine moving. Well, I had about enough time to get a hold of everybody and get their orders, and then my semi ran empty. Dad just pulled up with another one and they are almost full in the field with the carts, so we don't want the combine sitting. We better get back out there. I'm not kidding when I say corn harvest is fast, furious, and violent. You are constantly moving. Back again. See what I mean? He's full, Ricardo's full behind him, and Cooper's at the other end of the field, and he's gonna be full shortly. Just to put this pit into a little bit of better perspective, we paid $80,000 to have the extra speed on this pit, and with the unload speeds that we are currently achieving, we could have done this with a $10,000 setup. So it's not like we just need to be the fastest people in the world. It's just when you pay all that extra money, so that way you could have the speed and the efficiency and the lack of the need for another semi, then when it works like a $10,000 setup, that's where it gets a little frustrating. For just a moment, I want to talk about home security. As many of you know, I work a lot, which means that nobody is around to watch my house. So that is why I have a Simply Safe security system. So that way I know my property is protected while I am not there. And that gives me a lot of peace of mind. As a matter of fact, I have 5 systems for 5 different properties. Did I mention that Simply Safe is now offering a 50% discount? One of my favorite things about Simply Safe is they have Active Guard outdoor protection. With old school security systems, they only trigger after somebody breaks in, giving the intruder time to grab and dash. But with Simply Safe Active Guard, agents can see, speak, and trigger alarms in real time before a break-in happens. This one-of-a-kind system also uses AI technology to distinguish friends from foes. Simply Safe requires no long-term contracts. It starts around $1 a day, and you can get it professionally installed, or you can do it yourself.
Simply Safe on.
My personal favorite Simply Safe tools are the cameras. I put them everywhere. Save 50% off your Simply Safe security system when you sign up for a core monitoring plan and get your first month free. Visit simplysafe.com/Cole to customize yours. There's no safe like Simply Safe.
Simply Safe on. Home.
Once again, that's simplysafe.com/Cole.
Well, machine is ready. Then I think all the figuring is ready. I had to go back and forth between different snippets of the plans that I had, remeasure stuff, recalculate for the things that we wanted to change, then found couple of the mess ups prior to today. And with all that in mind, I think we're ready to dig. So there is where that rattle can of paint is. That's where the wall is gonna be for the footer that we need to dig, or the footer for the wall. And it's gonna come down all the way this way and connect along here. So there will be quite a bit of dirt that we need to move, but I'm hopeful that it can be done today, unless something else comes up, but I hope not. So let's come down and take a closer look what we have to do first, and then second, and then third and last. Like I was saying earlier, this is gonna be the center line for our wall. That means that the footer is gonna come in 24 inches on each side. So this was overdug from before, but all this will have to be gone. Basically, I'll just have to figure out, like, probably pack this down, backfill this corner, and just keep moving dirt that way somehow. Or this way, because yeah, skid loader will be able to come through here and scoop up out of this corner. And then another thing that was explored, that there was a little discrepancy on the measurements on the plans, I believe. So this needs to be shaved off a foot basically, and a little bit of a shaving here, which is not that drastic thankfully, and a little bit of a shaving, I think like a foot after I remeasured on this side here. So just a little bit. I guess we're ready to hop into a machine and start moving some dirt. As I was taking excavator down into the hole and driving by here, I realized that this bank has to be shaved off as well, because as you can tell, we're gonna line up right into this corner here, and we don't want to have it. So when we have it hole way deep, it doesn't get sloughed off. So we'll work on this while we're up here, and then once it's all down there, we're gonna have to move it somehow. We finally have ourselves a nice flat plane of field, so we can start putting some lines, painting them, and then digging. So we have one string line up. We're gonna measure 61 feet out from there down here. Do the same thing over there. Remember then that we secured and moved our little pin. We'll do the same thing, stretch it, have a straight line, measure, and we'll have two lines, connect the dots, and go 24 inch on each side, making our footer 48 inches wide all the way throughout.
On tabletop this year, we planted one hybrid of corn, which is Champion 58A21. It has been the best producing corn that we have had for the last 5 seasons, I believe. So this thing has been an absolute rock star for us. It looks like these ears look awesome. Looks like we had some little insect feeding or something right there on this one, but nice big kernels, and this stuff is dry. We are at like 14.5% or something like that. So when it's under 15, then we don't have to dry it, so we can put this just straight into the bin. So that is also one reason why we are able to absolutely just fly today. When things are dry, they work through the machine really well. Almost, it's just like flowing water. And then we also don't have to wait for the dryer. So we can just combine, we can dump, and we can just keep repeating. And we're actually just about done here, and we got started 4 hours ago. While we're walking around out here waiting for Zach to come up with the grain cart, which he is going to be over to the semi momentarily, I'm going to do just a little quick ground check to see how the combine's doing. Basically, if we see 2 kernels of corn in a square foot, that is unacceptable. So it looks like we got a kernel of corn right there. But in the other elongated square foot that I opened up right here, oh, we got 2 side by side. So with those being right where the row was, that probably came off the head, but this area being clean, it averages out. Yeah, we got nothing right here. That's acceptable levels. Looks like the combine's doing a good job. One of my favorite things about this Brent V1300 is this exterior scale right here. So Zach has 65,000 pounds on him currently. When he is completely front to back full, we can get about 80,000 on here. And so he's gonna dump as much as he can on. We generally put about 60,000 pounds on the semi, so he is going to still have a little bit on him. But the beautiful thing about this holding 1.3 semis is if he has a little bit on him, he can still go back and get another load from the combine, and then hopefully by the time he's full, then another semi's back, and then he can get unloaded. So that extra 300 bushels, really, it gives you a nice little buffer space. Looking at this grain, it is absolutely beautiful. We got some nice big kernels. We got a clean sample, not dusty at all. Beautiful.
Isn't that beautiful? You can tell, but it's not full yet, so I have to just stay here until I see that it's about to overflow, then I move.
I would love to tell you how many loads that we have dumped today, but to be completely honest, I lost count after about load number 2. They're coming in so fast and you're constantly moving. You just easily forget. I do know that Cooper is at about 80 acres for today though. So let's say it's averaging 200 at 80 acres. That would be 16,000 bushels, which would be approximately 16 semi-loads. And I would say that we have done at least that. So things are looking pretty good. I'm bouncing around on about an 1/8 tank of diesel fuel right now. I am actually waiting for Dad. Cooper's kind of getting in one of the short areas of the field. So we're not pumping out the loads quite as fast as we were earlier. So this is the perfect opportunity for us to be able to top things off. We do not want to run this out of fuel. Running a diesel out of fuel is a pain. There we have it. Cooper is now leaving, going to the next field. We got this one done. So we got our first 100 acres of the season on corn complete. For the next farm that we are going to, we're not going to be quite on top of ourselves as much with the semis. So we're going to set up this on the auto setup now. So I can come in here and just hit this button and it's going to turn our conveyor on, and then it's going to turn the leg on here in just a second, and then it's going to turn the pit on. And then once we get everything empty and we're not here, the motors that are on top of the augers, they will no longer sense a load on them anymore, and then it will shut everything down in the opposite sequence that it turned on. And then we're not just going to be sitting here running a bunch of electricity if we are not here. So there, you can hear it kicking on now, coming out of the pit. We're gonna open everything up. I already dumped my air in the back airbags, so we should just be able to crank this open as fast as we can. And voila. We should be able to empty this fast with both hoppers at the exact same time if it was working right. But it is what it is. Here we go. So this is literally how fast you should be able to do it. And then we just be closing everything up, and then I would have to do my front one, close it just like that, hop in the truck and leave. Literally that fast. But now we gotta back up and do the front hopper yet. And as we can see, the front is not able to go nearly as fast as the back because we basically have it all piled up under the grate right now. So if we open it up much more, it just piles all the way up to here, and then it spills on the concrete on the other side and spills on the concrete right here. So no point making a big mess. Just slow and steady. When we started harvesting this morning, both of these grain bins were completely empty, and we are now just above the door right here with corn. So we're like roughly right there or so. So there is still a lot of bin to go. Now that we're at the next field, I'm gonna leave my semi here for just a little bit. Cooper said he's having some rotor loss in the combine, and there was one setting on the rotor that they forgot to change when they switched from soybeans. So Dad's gonna bring me to the bin site so I can get Cooper's truck that has all the tools in it, and then I need to run to the main heated shop, grab another tool, and then I'll bring the truck back here. We'll fix that on the combine quick, and then it's actually gonna work really well because then we'll have a getaway vehicle here at the field, not just semis, grain carts, and a combine. How we doing, Ellie? How we doing, girl? We'll get everything fired up here for Dad before we take off. There we go. Wait till it turns green. Okay, we're good.
What are you doing here?
Hey, boys, what are you doing?
Riding around in the shop.
Edward, you on your bike? Zeke, you in your wagon?
Yeah. He loves it too.
Oh boy.
What are you doing here?
I need to get a tool. Got a nice little surprise visit from the boys in the shop. I did not expect them to be in there. I got the tool we needed. This is just a battery powered ratchet thing. Helps make the job a little bit easier. We should have all the other tools we need in the back of the truck. So now we just got a 2-mile drive over to Campground, and then it's like a 5-minute fix maybe, and we should be back to combining corn. We need to loosen all of these bolts right here, and then we just need to slide our adjustment so that way they're straight up and down. Apparently we already had the thing set to the setting that we were trying to set it to and didn't realize it. So I guess we just brought an escape vehicle out here. Cooper switched me spots in the combine. He's fighting things a little bit, so he asked if I could maybe get stuff set up a little. So I'm kind of looking at some of his settings here. I got a couple things that I'm going to adjust based on what I saw on the ground and based what I saw by just doing a little test in the back of the combine. So I'm going to open up my lower sieve so I can let a little bit more air through, because you do all of your cleaning with the top sieve in corn. And I'm gonna try opening my concave up a little bit. We just got started up here in the combine, then we got ambushed by Neva and the boys. So we got Ezekiel on the floor right now. He's in a prop up booster seat, and Edward's riding on Neva's lap. So this is Ezekiel's first time in the combine, and I believe this is Edward's first time in the combine while combining corn. We're just getting the rest of the end rows opened up here on the farm, and this farm snakes around a lot, so it's definitely an eyeful. For whatever reason, my height control on the head is not working, so I'm having to do everything by hand, so it's just an extra thing to look at. And this corn is yielding phenomenally. We are in a spot right now that is doing 262, and our 10-year average is like 197. So is that 80 bushels better than our average? Now this could just be a spot, but where we're at right now, doing very good. If the whole field does this, that would be phenomenal. Oh man, this is one of those fields. There is a bunch of roll in it, and it kind of goes all over the place. It's not just like a consistent side hill. Sometimes you're this way, sometimes you're this way, then you're this way, and then vice versa. And so it is a lot of adjusting with the head, which in other words means it's really hard to take your hand off the steering wheel to pick up a camera. But we did get 36 acres done. Campground is approximately 45 acres, so we have 9 acres left. And one of the beautiful things about not having to run the dryer is we do not have to run wee hours of the night, because we can just get a good start in the morning. We can get a lot done during the day, and then we can all get some sleep and then start fully refreshed in the morning. Taking a look at the 36 acres that we have done so far, it is averaging 219.9 bushels per acre, which is phenomenal. We have a 14.5% moisture, so we're under that 15. We don't have to dry any of it. And look at this. This yield map is so interesting to me. We have some really high yielding spots. I've been seeing some of these dark green areas. up in the 270s to almost 280. And then some of these lighter spots, we get down around 200. I've seen 190 in some of these really dark red spots. So it all averages out to 219.9. Looking at the trend we're seeing in this area that we have not harvested, at least beside it, we're looking at some pretty good yields. So I think if this spot yields kind of like what these areas are doing right here, we could maybe get around that 225 average for the farm, which for this field is absolutely phenomenal. I wanted to quit at 9 o'clock, but it ended up turning 9:15 on me real quick, so we just let everything cool down. We'd have a full semi, so we still need to get that dumped, and then we got to get everybody out of the field and stuff. So it'll still probably be 10 o'clock by the time we get back in the house, but it's a whole lot better than 2 in the morning. For harvest supper tonight, we have some roast. That's our meat in there. We got some carrots, then some broth, potatoes. This has been in a slow roaster all day with some rice on top. This looks absolutely delicious. Today was a record for us. It was the most bushels that we have ever harvested in a single day with a single combine. We combined over 30,000 bushels of corn. When I was a little boy, if we could get 12,000 bushels in a day, that was a 7 a.m. to midnight kind of day where you were just running the entire time. And we did a 30,000 bushel day from 9 a.m. to basically 9:15 p.m. So that is absolutely incredible just how efficient things are getting. And we give a lot of a tribute today to, number one, the field, because tabletop, nice long rows. Number two, the yield. We're looking at really nice yields. Number three, with it being dry, we don't have to dry it, so we can just keep unloading. And then at number four, we have a lot of help. So running the 2 grain carts, 2 semis, and the combine really never has to sit. So wild to believe, the most productive day of corn harvest we have ever had just happened today. So with that being said, I have a little bit of computer work that I need to do in my shop office here. It is just about midnight now, so I'm getting tired. I need to get that wrapped up, and then once I get that done, I'm going to go to bed. So I'm going to call it a night here. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one.